Very pleased with Gold Bullion leading towards the Queensland Derby. I thought it was a nice effort from him there last start in the rough habit, the traditional lead up to this race. Prior to that, he was excellent in the Frank Packer Plate in Sydney over the championships. He's been working towards this goal nicely. He should really relish getting out to the Derby distance of the 2,400 metres. A little bit of rain forecast around, which certainly going to enhance his chances. But it looks to have trained on nicely and looks in really good order going into the Derby. The Fred Best Classic looks to be a really strong addition this year. It's a lovely race for the progressive 3-year-old types. The instructor is coming off what was a very brave second there last start and an impressive win at Canterbury prior to that. Seems to be in really good order and holding his form very well. Certainly pleased with him going into this run. Bases loaded, resumed on the Sunshine Coast off the back of a long layoff. We hadn't seen him prior to running second in the Group 1 Champagne Stakes. He should really appreciate getting out to the 1,400 metres on this occasion in the Fred Best. Ideally, if we can see him back on top of the ground, that's going to be an advantage to him. He wasn't entirely comfortable there when resuming on the heavy track. But I feel he's shown the necessary improvement and obviously a very talented horse. In the Premier's Cup, Goldman is looking to bounce back off what was no doubt a disappointing performance from him last start when he started well in the market. He was second up on that occasion in the Gosford Cup off the back of an excellent return over the championships. May have just found second up off the decent layoff that he's looking for further now. So he'll get that on Saturday, stepping out to the 2,400 metres. We will see him get the blinkers again, which we haven't seen for some time. That may just be the key that he's looking for. Similarly, Knight's Order resumed with an excellent run when resuming in the Wagga Cup. He was a little bit disappointing there last start when remaining at the 2,000 metres in Queensland, but he should really relish getting out to the 2,400 metres now at this point of his preparation. In the Lord Mayor's Cup, over the 1,800 metres, Zoomon is making his return to racing. He raced over in Perth, targeting the Perth Cup. I don't think we saw him at his best form there, so no doubt he can be forgiven for those last couple of runs. But he looks to be back in good shape, just judging by his most recent trials. He is first up here on this occasion over the 1,800 metres, so I would expect him to naturally show some nice improvement off the back of this run, which is traditionally the pattern that he follows. But he's forward enough to run a very competitive race for us first up. Converge resumed in the Scone Cup. Over the mile, he was first up. He didn't necessarily get the best of runs late in the piece, so I think he can be forgiven for that run. Should appreciate stepping out to the 1,800 metres at this point of his career. He's also much better weighted in this particular race, so I am expecting to see some nice improvement from him racing second up. Sir Lucan was very brave there last start in the Gosford Gold Cup. He sat wide throughout, showed a nice turn of foot, was only run down very late in the race. I think he's shown nice improvement off the back of that. He's stepping back to the 2,000 metres, which I don't see as an issue for him. I think he'll enjoy getting to Rose Hill. I think it's a track he races well at. Certainly looks to have trained on nicely, so looks to be a lovely race for Sir Lucan. Oz Empress was slightly disappointing for us first up when resuming at Scone. She did receive some interference there about the 1,900 metre mark of the race, which just had her a little bit out of contention from that point. So she did have an excuse, and certainly be willing to be forgiving of that. She looks to have trained on nicely. This looks to be a nice race for her, stepping back in grade. She is taking on the older mares, but she's a quality filly herself, a listed winner in Melbourne previous preparation. She will appreciate getting out slightly in further later in the campaign, but I do think she can bounce back on Saturday. Sovereign Hill resumed when racing at Newcastle. First up this preparation, was on a rain-affected track, and he didn't seem to handle the conditions on that occasion, so be willing to be very forgiving of that particular run. He had trialled nicely going into the run. Does get the addition of the blinkers for Saturday, which looks to be a positive for him based off his most recent work. He looked nice and sharp and focused, so expecting that he can bounce back for us. Surprise Valley resumes this campaign at Sandown. She's racing over the 1,300 metres in benchmark 70 handicap. Looks to have come back well. She's a lovely, big, strong filly that will no doubt continue to keep showing further improvement throughout the campaign. She is better placed once we can see her stretching out towards the mile, as I said, later in the preparation, but she's nice and forward and does perform well fresh.